Wonderbirds are supported by dogfriendly.co.uk, improving the lives of dogs and their owners.
Hello.
Hi, girls.
Hey.
Can I just say before we start, the excitement of Sherry talking about our live show and our new guests that are going to be on it on June the 28th. And Gok Wan's going to be there. Who else?
Yes, Bonnie Tyler's going to do a video link performing for us and talking to, I mean, it's so exciting.
And we have some bad boys of soap.
Mm-hmm.
We do. And plus lots of other guests, but we'll be talking about that later on. But
we will.
Get your tickets while you can, because they're going fast.
They are.
You're going to come, aren't you, Hills? Aren't you going to
Absolutely, 100% supporting my beautiful birds. 100%.
Yeah.
What are you going to say then?
No, it's just been great to get back into a sit in a theatre again. It's going to be extraordinary and quite emotional.
And haven't you got lots of clients who are about to start?
I have. This is what I've been doing the last few days. Is like the doors open Monday, and I have 3 clients. I manage 4 with O'Neill Management, and 3 of them start this week. Monday, when Butlins opens on Monday, I've got White Magic on, who are a contortion illusion act, and on Tuesday I've got a brand new act, never worked before, will be live at Butlins in Minehead on Tuesday, and they are called the Crazy Comedy Company. So all I'm doing is connecting the technicians, the managers, the on-site people with the act, making sure everything's up and running. So it's a really exciting time.
Darling, you could sort out an act for us, please, because we could also do a Butlins tour. It's not a problem.
We could.
You could sort that, please, darling.
One phone call.
Thank you. I knew it.
And I always wanted to go to Butlins as a little girl. I never did. It always looked so, the act always looked so exciting, didn't it? Butlins.
Well, it was my grounding. That's where I actually did a lot of my grounding. As you know, you talk about sort of actresses doing rep. That was my grounding, because we did a different show. I was part of the production cast for 3 years, different years, starting in 1980. And I was the soubrette, which is the old-fashioned variety term for a singer-dancer. And we did a different show every day for 2 weeks. Every show was different for 2 weeks, because people came in those days for a fortnight.
Yes, I've got one thing I've got to ask you. I need a garden update, please. I wasn't here last time.
I am so giddy. I'm sorry, but it's the first time I've grown dahlias, Harriet. And
excuse me, what does that mean?
Dahlia is a very nice plant.
Okay, just checking.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
And I've chosen the most outrageous kind of blooms to put in the garden. Some in pots, some in the ground. And out of 23, I've only 3 haven't grown, so I think that's a pretty good.
Well done.
Yeah, I'm really.
Do you have any tips on that sort of thing? Because I've got a hydrangea that's one hydrangea outside my front door, and I planted it 2 years ago, and it actually is sprouting this year.
Fantastic!
But
I haven't done anything to it.
They're very hardy. They normally look after themselves, but the frost has really. I'm not a gardener. I'm just new to this, but I picked up so much because I want to learn. So I've learned that this year nobody can put any bets on. The bets are all off with the weather because of the frost that came.
Yes,
and the frost took so many people's perennials and plants and stuff that they put in early. And even I put my dahlias out for one night only.
What do you mean? That sounds obscene. You put your dahlias out for one night. That sounds
one
obscene.
night only.
It does.
And the frost got them.
Oh,
they're okay.
No.
They're okay. They've not died, but I had to cut loads of leaf damage off. And that was just one night. You couldn't call it. So anyway, it's all happening here. It's all showbiz and gardening.
Showbiz and gardening. Oh, yeah.
Debbie, you have something important to tell us, don't you?
She does.
Yes, my dream last night. I've got this earthing blanket. It's a long story, but I've been about my room. So for the last
you don't want to hear it
very well. Last night, I had a dream that I met a man in a lift, and the lift we couldn't get. Every time we got to the right floor, it kept stopping. And we were just in the lift. He turned around to me and he said, "I am your knight in shining armor. We are going to be together forever." And I went, "Wow!" And I just said, "So it's happened?" And he said, "Yes, it's happened. I've been waiting for you." And he said, "But I've got to find my mother. But she's on floor 4 and we couldn't get out of the list." And his name was, hang on, I wrote it down because I forgot it.
George Clooney.
His name was Sailor Hampton.
Okay.
Isn't that, I remembered his name.
Sailor Hampton. Is that a real name, Sailor?
Yeah, well, yes, it was his
No,
first name,
see.
Sailor.
I want to Google it.
Yeah,
Google
what
it
does
now,
it
dear.
mean? I bet there's a meaning behind it.
Sailor Hampton. And I was so
Yeah.
happy because he was such a lovely man. He kept saying, I know your knight in shining armour.
I bet you meet somebody soon, Debs.
Called Sailor.
I bet.
Not-
Not, not
I think we
necessarily.
need, I think we need to move on now because I don't think I can take
Yes,
much more
not
of this.
necessarily.
Our next
Can you
I
bring
have-
in our guest, please?
Yeah, before we do, can I just tell you that I hardly ever, like you have, I hardly ever remember my dreams, but I remember one a few years ago, where I was being chased by a giant Brussels sprout.
And there
Can
go.
you
And
explain
there you have
that
it.
and the
And there
reason
you have
behind
it.
it?
I think the
Alcohol,
thing is-
alcohol,
yes,
alcohol.
Oh yeah, probably.
I think we should bring in our next guest. Our first guest,
Please,
not even our next guest. Our first guest is the wonderful, ageless, beautiful Anissa Harris.
Hello.
Oh,
Welcome to
Anita.
You.
Gosh, you know, you look
Wonderbirds.
absolutely incredible. I've got to say this to you. I've never known anyone be so timeless in their look. You've always looked amazing. It's like, do you have a painting in the attic?
I have a fringe, darling, that covers it all up.
Well, more importantly, darling, what medication are you on? Because I want some. Or is it imbibing with alcohol? I don't care. Just tell me.
Wonderbirds. I think you're all amazing, and you've done such an incredible job keeping the spirits of all of us going in this most difficult of years. So
Thank you.
Oh,
God
thank
bless
you, darling.
Thank you, darling.
Thank
You look gorgeous. You actually, you should be modelling as well now. I've never known anyone, as I've said before,
Exactly.
looking because you're so glamorous. I wonder what happens. They suddenly fall apart, don't they? Some people, but you've never ever allowed that to happen to yourself, have you?
Well, I think we've all got mums or had mums that did the same thing. You know, even during the war, my mum would put a bit of lipstick on, a bit of the lipstick on the cheeks, and you know, it's just how you probably are brought up or whatever. Just making the best of ourselves, loves.
Exactly. Now, I've known you for a million years because you knew my mum very well, because my mum was an agent. And did you work a lot in the Northeast for her, for the Bailey organisation? Is that how you met my mum?
Oh, yes. Just very briefly, I had a record out with John Barry of the John Barry 7 then, who became John Barry, the composer, called I Haven't Got You, written by Lionel Bart. And as it was released, and they've got all of these things worked out for me to go on Radio Luxembourg and all of that, came the equity strike. So you're all far too young to remember even that. However, they let me go. And that, besides one agent and your mum, who took me into the clubs, and that is, if there's a repertory for club work, for concert and cabaret work, that was certainly a repertory for how to deal with just 3 shows a night in 3 different working men's clubs.
Wow.
And I remember she would be very lucky to have you because you had a hit record, and there you were doing 3 shows a night, and they were in different places, weren't they? Miles away from each other too.
Well, that was before Just Loving You, and then when Just Loving You came, that's where your darling mum came into my world. And yes, if you worked the Cabaret Club in Manchester, for instance, you would do the Elevensham and the Devonshire, and you'd stay at Mrs. What's-her-name's down the road, and a van would pick you up. I was on after the stripper, by the way.
Oh,
The van would pick you up. You go and do the first show, 1,000 people, beer, everything else. Go to the set. The van would take you to the next one, and you'd end up at the Cabaret Club for the 11 o'clock show at night. And it was the most dedicated time, but how much I learned. And people like Ella Fitzgerald, who would be doing, she did a show at the Palace, and then came on with her 3 musicians to the Cabaret Club and got up and did a set. And we're just sitting there about, I'm in my early 20s and just seeing all of this. So the experience was just fantastic. Yeah.
And very different from being an ice skater as well, which is where you started. I mean, how did you go from one to the other? It's such a different world, isn't it?
Totally different. And well, my 2 big brothers, Philip and David, they're a little bit older than me. We all went to the Bournemouth ice rink as kids. I started at the age of 8, and I just fell in love with skating. Very much part of the actual figure skating, where my darling mum would take me in the mornings, be on the ice about 6:30, 7 o'clock. And that you could see the mist from the ice. It was such a silent, sort of wonderful atmosphere. And then the bite of the skate, you could hear it go through the ice. I absolutely adored that. I was never an athletic skater, but I suppose I got on quite well anyway. I went to London, to Queen's Ice Rink to train. My darling dad drove me up there once a fortnight, and it was there at Queen's Ice Rink. The manager knew my parents. A talent scout came from Miss Bluebell, Bluebell girls, and asked the manager if he could, because I was 15. I was still 15 years old. And anyway, to cut a long story short, the scout talked to my parents, and I went to audition. Can you believe it? What it is now the New London, and now the Gillian Lynn Theatre.
Amazing.
I auditioned there in my little skating outfit, and a week later, an offer came through. So by the time I was 16 and 2 weeks, I was in Brussels dancing, and in La Nouvelle Eve in Paris, and then went to Vegas when I was 16 and a half. I mean, it was just...
Oh my God, grief. That's amazing. I mean, I went to Hull for my first job and I was 17, but you in France at 16.
That is
Quite the same.
Anita, I've got to say that I'm actually listening to you now, and it takes me back to when I was a young girl. And I remember you telling that story, and I was so influenced and affected by it, and it really inspired me. And I'm sure that's, one of the reasons that I wanted to sing and do all that. And nowadays you'd be called an influencer, wouldn't you? But it's just like you are very inspirational. But that, I know that comes with a lot of responsibility. I mean, how did that feel for you then, when you suddenly, were the sort of one of the big sort of names in this country and all across the continent and the world?
Well, that's lovely. And could you put that in writing, please?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you can pay me later, darling.
I think one of the times that was the most important was when I got the role of Peter Pan, and I toured that for 2 years. And also for all of us that have done pantomime, there's something about an audience where a kid is sitting and looking up at that stage, and that first time they go to a theatre, I mean, we've all said this, but the first time a child goes to the theatre and swoops in that wonderment, when the curtain goes up and the music starts, and then suddenly, and of course flying, when I flew in that first time. There was a time when the fairy dust did not work, and I ended up Groucho. I think that's what gave me the joy of knowing that, and working with younger people and kids. It's just a lovely spiritual feeling, as well as...
Anita, I want to ask you, we've covered your youth now, but I want to ask you about your...
long time
I was going to talk to you about that, but that's gone. I want to go into your middle years, darling. I want to talk about, obviously you won the talent show, as you said, and you ice skating and singing. Talk to me about the acting, when that started. Because what's brilliant is that I always think that the instinct to perform covers all those bases. And it's what happened to you to give you that journey into acting.
When I came back from Vegas, I was a blonde. So my mum knew.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm the only brunette here. I know how you feel.
So my mum took me straight to the head, so I became brunette again. There were 4 blondes, 4 brunettes, and 4 redheads in the line, you see, that I was dancing in. So
right.
I had to become a blonde. Okay. But I then joined the Hampshire School of Drama.
Right.
And Miss Cockcroft. And I only did a year, But I think when you talk about and put the word drama, she had this wonderful thing of just instilling realness for me. Remember, I had been a kid in Vegas, never putting fishnets on before, and never putting all that slap on before, and going out and eyes and teeth. You know, she just taught me how to. I guess the word is stillness, and how to think about what I was saying, as opposed to presenting myself. And the difference is colossal, isn't it? It is
absolutely.
All of us that have done it.
What was your first acting role?
Tiny bit of Shakespeare. Never mind. First acting role, I think, was when John Newman put me into The Unexpected Guest with the wonderful George Sewell. And then that started me off on a different repertory season. I did Unexpected Guest, Verdict, My Cousin Rachel, started really, really going. And then, of course, with, switch.
Also, repertory is amazing because it gives you such a chance to do such diverse things, and we don't have that now. So all that list of amazing plays that you did, gives you a chance to be completely different and stylistically. And that must have been an amazing thing to realize you could do
also,
all that.
of course, with Colin, your wonderful Colin Baker, who I saw with you. Isn't he lovely? Isn't he lovely? We did Death Trap. Together. And then Strangers on a Train. And for all of us, it is the people that we work with. As much as the construction of the show, the director, the producer, how we look, what character, and then we bounce off that other person on that stage, don't we? And it's those people that remain. There's a few, you can see a few of them here. Some of them have gone to heaven, but they're still on my shoulders, and in my heart. And it's so yes, drama. I find I have to work these days to stop being out there still, and just find that fourth wall and believe in that character. It's an interesting world we're in.
It's all about speaking the truth, isn't it, Anita? That's what acting. Well, my partner Alan Cohen, director. He's directed you in five blue-haired
ladies sitting on a green park bench.
Well, that's the title. Yeah, you did. Is there a role that's out there, Anita, that you think about and go, I'd like to get my hands on that? In anything, in musical, in a movie, anything. Have you got your eyes set on something?
Talk to Alan. Alan actually helped me in that character, because we were five blue-haired ladies, and finding that role for me was quite difficult. So I thank you, Alan, darling. But I think, if I'm absolutely honest, because the first thing that I loved was Doris Day and Calamity Jane.
Oh, wow.
I would love to play Dolly. I would love to do it.
Yes, please. Somebody listen and put this show on and cast Anita.
Are we ready, girls?
Wow.
Yeah.
Dolly.
Oh my God, I've got goosebumps even thinking about you coming through the scene where she comes down, all the guys are in the red, greeting Dolly. So,
10 years down, sorry, Hills. 10 years down the line with a Zimmer frame.
No, it'd have to be a Stanner, darling. A Stanner stairlift.
Oh, how wonderful would that be, coming down with the music?
Sailing down.
I've got sorry guys, I've got the idea. You're going to come on flown in like Peter Pan.
Oh,
yay!
Yay!
Genius. A lot of people don't realise that you're writing at the moment, Anita, as well, aren't you?
Well, you're a good pal, Hills. My darling Michael, he's an illustrator. Behind me is his painting of me as Grisabella. So a little bit hats off to the 40th year of the show Cats, which was also incredible to be in. But he's illustrated some children's books. So it's Beepo the Bear.
Oh, cute.
Ooh,
So girls or grandchildren everywhere.
right. Where can we get them,
It's on
Anita?
its way.
Yes, where can we buy them?
Well, it's nearly really completed. So
You can't yet,
we'll
dear.
get it out
We
there.
can't yet. Okay.
And of course, when you're over 21, you've also, I suppose, got to start the autobiography.
Yours would be amazing. What a career. And also you've been to Vegas recently again, didn't you? You went with all those wonderful stars like Cannonball and Bernie
amazing.
Clifton, etc.
And you know them all, Hills.
I do.
Sue Pollard, who's doing Master Chef at the moment, which is
Yes. Oh, she's great.
How did Anita? How did Vegas feel going back all those years later?
very, very, very different. I actually, I left here a bit tired, so I wasn't on top form. But what was wonderful was having the names that Hills just said around me, and especially Mr. Clifton, who found my knickers flying in the breeze one day. As you do, girls, I had to wash my own knickers and put them on a balcony, and then somebody called me and said, "You've got the car's waiting. Where are you?" So I forgot about it. I came back, and the wind had blown them all over the trees. So Bernie Clifton knows my knickknacks better than I do.
There's a title for your autobiography.
Perfect.
You were in Vegas. What year were you there originally?
Oh,
Sorry. Well, sort of.
Debs, I was there in 1959.
Wow.
Just 1960, 6 months we were there. It was 1959, 60.
And that must have been so exciting as a place then, because it was just coming alive.
It was. I have to mention that Amy MacDonald, lovely Amy, was in the line with me. So she's very much part of my life, and lovely memories with her. She's a darling kid. Yes, sorry, Debs, I interrupted your question.
No. It was just about how different, Vegas was from 1959 to how it is today. I mean, it had so much glamour then. Now I feel it's a bit like Disneyland for grown-ups, don't you?
It is Disneyland for grown-ups. It's a tower block place. When you actually get through the casino, into the theatre world, even that is different. But of course, you, all four of you, and darling Sherry, who send my love, please send my love to her. When you actually get into whatever is a theatre or cabaret room, once the lights go down, and the show starts, it's all magic, isn't it? So,
and actually, I think Disneyland for grown-ups. Disneyland anyway is for grown-ups, but Disneyland for grown-ups is a fabulous thing, and it's lovely to escape. So I think we should all go on a trip to Vegas, just saying.
Yes, please.
But will you come back and see us again soon, please, darling?
Oh, is it all over already?
I know, it goes so quickly, doesn't it?
Gone so quickly.
I would love to, and I really mean this. You really have cheered us all up, and keep it going, girls. Keep it going.
You cheered us up for the last 40 years in the business, so 50 years or whatever it is, Anita.
20. It's 20, Debbie. It's 20.
No,
20
10
years. 15, 5. A couple.
Take care, darlings.
Love you, darling.
Bye.
Oh my God, that's so wonderful.
No, I just want to talk to her more and more and more and more and more.
Yeah,
You
that's
need
a
a whole
part 1 and
series.
part 2, isn't it? Part 1, and you need another one. There's so much to
there's
say.
so much more. Absolutely.
Yeah, she would have so many more stories that you could bring up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think she needs part 2.
Incredible.
But can I just remind everyone, I know it's only Wednesday, but on Saturday, it's Walk the Walk. There is still time to join up on the virtual Moonwalk London, and you can walk 6 miles up to 50 blah miles. It's your choice, and you can go to walkthewalk.org and sign up or donate. Just saying.
We will.
Who's coming in on Friday?
Well, Rusty Lee is coming in on Friday.
So
So we do. She, of course, she has the most wonderful laugh, doesn't she?
Yes,
So
she's
but I just,
incredible.
before we go, I actually wanted to say that my father was booked to open the Pink Flamingo in Vegas in 1955.
Wow, how amazing.
Wow.
And sadly, he never made it because he got ill before he was supposed to fly out. And so I've got a big connection with Vegas. I could have been born there, and sadly, I was born in Sunderland instead. So I'm never really quite forgiven my father for that.
Interchangeable,
So,
darling. They're
slightly
interchangeable. Yeah. No, interchangeable. Also, I just forgot to say.
Twinned with
Yes,
Vegas.
exactly. Twin towns. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I forgot to say the name of my team is Harriet's Big Tits, and I don't know where they get that from. But anyway.
Oh no, I don't.
The walk, the walk. No, it's bizarre.
I've just Googled Sailor Hampton for you, Deb. Sailor Hampton has come up with Sainsbury's petrol station.
But where?
So that's where
In
you've got to go
Hampton,
to meet
In
him.
Hampton Hill, Hampton, near Twickenham.
Maybe it means, darling, maybe it means you get a discount.
I'm going now.
You need to go
Okay,
there.
okay, see you later.
I'm going. Bye. I'm going to listen.